Hi guys, Ian from the Football Boots team, and today in another episode of the Football Boots Show, I'm going to be talking about why Neymar has ended up at Puma. There are a lot of questions to answer about this, and in this video I'll be getting into all of the details. But first off, I want to take a little step back and discuss how we got to this point. So back in 2013, Neymar was the face of the Hypervenom when they came out, a massively successful boot for Nike, and that was when Neymar really burst onto the stage. It was around the time of his move to Barcelona. Things were going really well for him. That was kind of the peak, perhaps, of things with Neymar. So he starts off and he's wearing the Hypervenoms, very successful with the launch. They move on, he goes to the 2014 World Cup and he got his own special edition Golden Dreams. So those were the gold boot, yellow sole, and it was all based on the inspiration of he used to spray his boots gold when he was a kid. These are fantastic releases. They were just a special edition and he didn't really get to wear them. I think he maybe got a half in them or something, and obviously he got his back injury at the tournament. So moving on, he carried on wearing the Hypervenoms. He loved the Hypervenoms. A lot of people kind of now think they're the boot of the decade. They that kind of grippy upper. Neymar's a big fan of them. Now remember, these are with the low collar. That'll get more important as we get on in this episode. So he moved on from those. He then went on to wear the Liquid Dreams. Now the Liquid Dreams were a silver version, a signature edition for Neymar, and they were a silver version pretty much of the Golden Dreams, but they did have this pink accent to them, and that's going to be important as well. He went on and it got to the point that that was kind of the last-ish pair that he wore of the original Hypervenoms. Then they changed into the Hypervenom 2s, and this is where things started to get a little bit downhill for the relationship perhaps between Nike and Neymar. Now some of the things I say in this video are going to be my opinions, they're not necessarily facts, just what I think about it, so I don't want to get myself into trouble with Nike or with Neymar, but I'm going to tell you how I see it and how I interpret what happened. So Neymar is wearing the Hypervenom 2s. These are now the ones with the collar on them. He doesn't like them as much as he liked the original boots. He doesn't really get on with them as much. Over time, Nike then released a new upper, a kind of upgrade to the upper to try and solve some of the problems, which really took us back to a more similar upper. They also had the finish available, which was the low version. Neymar would be seen wearing those a little bit. So those Hypervenom 2s, this is when we started to see the collab between Jordan and Neymar. And these are some of the best kind of collab boots that we've seen. The problem is Neymar still doesn't like the Hypervenom at this point, and he doesn't really like wearing them so much, in fact, that they brought out a black pair and a white pair. And I believe the black ones, he was just seen wearing the finished version. He wasn't wearing the ones with the collar. But the main problem wasn't just the collar on there, he didn't like that, but also the upper, it just didn't suit him. So he wants to wear the Vapors. And so he actually gets Nike to make him a pair of Vapors that are disguised to look like the Hypervenoms that he's supposed to be marketing. So you might have heard about this before, but in essence, the boots, when you see them close up, you can tell that they're a pair of Mercurial Vapors, but they've been painted up and designed to look like the Hypervenoms that he's actually marketing. So there is a real big kind of issue. Nike have tried to work it out by making them look like what he's marketing, but it's a big problem when your player doesn't like the boots that he's being paid to wear. So eventually, Neymar manages to get himself out of the Hypervenoms. Hypervenom moves on to the Hypervenom 3s. It's not a Neymar thing. Neymar is in the Vapors. And Nike take that on board and they decide to make him kind of the big face of the Vapors. But this is where the problem is that the Vapor isn't really Nike's high-end offering in the Mercurial line. They're always trying to put people into the Superfly. So with the Superfly, you've got the likes of Ronaldo in them, you've got Mbappe in them, and you've now got Sancho in them as well. That is their elite offering, and the Vapor is underneath it. So it's a bit of a problem when you've got one of your headline players wanting to wear that boot that is underneath. But Nike went with it, and they created the Written in the Stars Vapors for him. Now those ones were based on his achievements with Brazil. They were kind of a blue boot, star details on them, and they're actually very nice kind of signature edition for him. Moving on, when we got to the 2018 World Cup, that was when Neymar got his Mojogo boots. They were a pair of yellow boots, Amarillo, and he got to wear those in action at the World Cup. That was a troublesome World Cup for him. Everybody was just suggesting that he was diving and rolling over and things like that. So it wasn't really great for him with a kind of PR thing. Perhaps he just took another little bit of a hit to his profile as a big star player. Moving on, Nike would give him the Vapors, the Vapor 12s. They'd also then give him his Speed Freaks. and then they would go on from that into the last ones that we've seen, the white ones with all the different Neymar logos on it. Now there's been a lot of changes in the Neymar logo. They've never managed to stick to one thing, which is a little bit confusing, but it's going to be useful for Puma because it's another new logo for Neymar. He's gone to Puma and he's going to get this new logo. So the thing is, he actually had a year left on his contract with Nike, so I'm not sure what's happened there, whether it's got paid up or they've just torn it up or what the thing was. But Neymar isn't getting the position that he wants to have with Nike. So Mbappe, his teammate at PSG, he's a bigger deal now to Nike than Neymar is. Mbappe's won the World Cup. Mbappe's got to the final of the Champions League. Obviously Neymar was there as well. But Neymar is playing second fiddle to Mbappe in the PSG team, and he doesn't want to play second fiddle to him at Nike. So it's a case of, well, maybe he'll go back to Barcelona or somewhere like that. My question would be, is if he goes back to Barcelona, how is that relationship at Puma going to be with Griezmann? He is their headline player with the Ultras. Now, talking about the Ultras, we haven't seen Neymar move directly into wearing the Ultras straight away. I think everybody was expecting to see that when they hear that he's going to go to Puma. It's like, okay, well, he's going to be in the Ultras. And I think Puma have done really well by putting him in the Puma Kings and having this whole the King is back thing. I think it's a great bit of marketing. It's a great bit of stuff that's pushing people to notice the Puma King Platinums. Now, Lukaku at Inter Milan has been banging in the goals wearing those boots. I'm not sure what he's going to be wearing this season, but he scored a lot of goals wearing those boots, and it's just great to see them on the pitch. Now, the boots that you've seen Neymar wearing, they're not actually available at retail, and it just seems like they've had to rush this out. It seems to have been quite a quick decision. And one of the things, and I've got this little bit of a kind of inside thought that I'll give you in a second, but one of the things, it seems to be rushed out because they've had to get Silniart to come along, and there's the blackout boots, and he's whited out the swoosh, the form stripe on there, so then you can see that really stand out on pitch, and then added on the Neymar logo as well. And you can see all these custom boots, they were all blackouts, and he'd added the white paint to them to be worn. So there hasn't actually been any time to get anything specifically set up for Neymar. Now, talking about specifically set up and talking about those liquid diamonds that I talked about before. If you see the pink on the swoosh on the Phantom GTs. Now, when Nike bring out a new boot, they normally have a headline wearer. I can't say that I can think of anybody who was really the headline wearer when the Phantom GTs came out. Now, they could have used Kevin De Bruyne. They could have used Kai Havertz. They could have used Lewandowski. I mean, Lewandowski's had a mad season. If they could have got him into those boots, then he would be in a great kind of headline wearer for it. They could have used Harry Kane, who was the headline wearer for the Phantom Venoms. Now, I understand that COVID-19's been around and it's made it harder for them to get marketing materials and things set up. But I just have a suspicion that Nike planned on having Neymar headline the Phantom GTs. And this is the kind of inside kind of thought that I've got about what's going on. I think that Neymar was supposed to front these boots. I think that the way that these are set up, it just reminds me of what they've done with Neymar before. And I think Neymar was supposed to front the Phantom GTs. You will have seen that Neymar did wear the Phantom GTs in blackout, in training earlier in the year. So they're giving him a go. Remember that these are on the Hypervenom last. So that means that the way the sole of the boot is designed, it is the same. So it's designed to suit the boot that Neymar liked. Yes, it comes with a collar, it also comes with the low, so it would have made sense that perhaps they would have been happy for Neymar to wear the low version and just give him some white socks or something to make it look like he was wearing the high. But the other thing is, I believe that Nike planned on having a signature edition Phantom GT for Neymar. It would have come out in the next month or so, I believe. Clearly that's not going to happen anymore. But I believe that Nike wanted to get Neymar into the Phantom GTs. They still wanted him around, but they wanted him to headline these. Obviously, he's tried them, and he's decided he wanted to stick to that kind of vapor feel of a boot. He didn't want to come and use these boots, and it's come to a head, and he said, you know what, I don't want to carry on. And then he's gone to Puma, they've had a conversation, they've obviously worked out the money and all those kind of things. And he's also getting that recognition that he's just not getting. If he goes to Puma, he's their like number one, number two player, Griezmann and Neymar. That's all there is for Puma. Other players, a little bit further down the line, you're not talking about your Balotellis or your James Madisons or players like that, even Marco Reus, players like that, they're just not quite that elite level. When you look at Nike, they've got a lot of elite level players. So they've got Ronaldo, they've got Mbappe, they've got Sancho to headline the Mercurials. They can now just take the Vapor and say, you know what, it's just that little notch below again. They can carry on with the marketing the way they were before. Obviously, it's a slight issue, a slight vacuum in what they're doing with the Phantom GTs, but I say, come on, get Lewandowski in them as soon as possible. He is clearly the headline player for those. He should have won the Ballon d'Or this year. The guy won everything possible in this calendar year. He was the top goal scorer in all those competitions, and they've taken the Ballon d'Or away from him, and I think that's a crying shame because he absolutely deserves to have won that. And then obviously Harry Kane and a few other players like De Bruyne and Kai Havertz. Now he's at Chelsea, he's going to stand out a bit more probably. They're going to be the players that you're going to see with the Phantom GTs. But I do think that Nike originally planned to have Neymar in them, and I think he was having none of it. And I think now he's gone to the Puma Kings. How long he lasts in the Puma Kings, I will be surprised to see. I think maybe we'll see a special edition of the Ultras or something, maybe a super light version or something. Maybe they'll even tie it in and make it a Neymar edition. But they are going to try and get him into those as soon as possible, I am sure. But it will be interesting to see whether he likes the design of those. It is a lot wider in the forefoot, but have a think about it and see what you think. Neymar, I suppose he's got time, and he's going to have a little bit of a rest, seeing as he's got himself sent off in his first game wearing the Puma Kings. Right guys, thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what you think about Neymar and his boot switch. It'd be an interesting one to follow. Thanks for watching. Go enjoy your football.